Welcome to the So Much More podcast, where we talk with people in the custom window treatment, soft home furnishings industry, and so much more. I'm your host, Seal DeGuglielmo. My guest on the podcast today is KerryLynn Wyszynski. KerryLynn and her husband Waldemar started their business One Space at a Time Ltd. In October of 2001, just 2 weeks before their wedding. They live just outside of Calgary, Alberta, Canada, for now, with their son Daniel, their 2 dogs, their 3 cats, and a turtle named Myrtle. As life has a tendency to do, things with life and business have changed over the years, and in May of 2024, KerryLynn decided it would be a good idea to open a to-the-trade drapery workroom. We talked about that choice while we were talking today. Waldemar has been a huge supporter and has built her tables, renovated her space twice already, and has even learned how to use some of the machines to help out when needed. Right now, they are both excited for the next chapter. They are moving and looking forward to what the future has in store. I met KerryLynn through the Workroom Accountability and Mentoring Group, and I met her in person at the Custom Workroom Conference. And I just wanted to talk more with her because some of us have a directness about us that makes them easy to talk to. And KerryLynn is one of those people. She knows what she wants. And when she talks about it, she's firm and knows what she wants to do. And I just find that refreshing. And I've loved being in conversations on the Curtains and Soft Furnishings Resource Library with her, where she doesn't waffle back and forth. She makes a decision and she goes with it. And I really love that. So I really hope that you enjoy hearing from KerryLynn today. KerryLynn, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
And it was nice because I got to meet you in person for the first time at the Custom Workroom Conference. It's already 2 weeks ago now. I just realized that. I was about to say last week, but it's been 2 weeks. And it's just nice to see someone in person that I've seen on Zoom meetings.
It is. It's always better to meet somebody in person. They always look different.
Yes. Some people are taller and shorter than I expect them to be. Yeah. We're all at the same level when we're on Zoom. So for anyone who's listening, can you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you are in the world and a little bit about your business?
Sure. My name's KerryLynn Wyszynski, and I live in Calgary, or just outside of Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and stuff. Live out here with my husband Waldemar and our son Daniel, and of course the dogs and the cats and the turtle, the important stuff in life.
The turtle named Myrtle.
Yeah. Yeah, she's been around since my son was 7, so
oh my goodness, I love that.
Yeah, so and then we have an acreage outside of Calgary. My business is on the property, but not in my home, which is wonderful.
Okay.
But right now we're in the process of getting ready to move that too. So
right.
A lot of fun.
So KerryLynn, we met because you're part of the Workroom Accountability and Mentoring Group and also a member of the Curtains and Soft Furnishings Resource Library. But your current business is new, but you're not new to running a business.
No. My husband and I started our business. It's called One Space at a Time, back in 2001, 2 weeks before. Okay. And both are still going.
Right. That's amazing.
Yeah. We started, I'm an interior designer, have been for over 30 years now. Mm-hmm. And he was doing flooring, hardwood tiles and stuff like that. So over the years, I can't sit still. I can't do just one thing over and over again. So I've done multitudes of things. I love design, but got a little bit burnt out because I take on too much always. And last year, in May of last year, decided, hey, a workroom. I know how to do this. I've done this before. So that's where the workroom came from. And my husband's behind me 110%. Anything I need, he does.
Okay.
He's actually, the space I'm in has now been renovated twice in a year.
And you're leaving it and going to a new location.
And going to be doing another one. But I will have more space again. So
okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
So was the decision to move part of a business decision or a personal decision that you wanted to live in a different location?
It was a personal decision.
Okay.
It started out with my son. He was just tired of the rat race and stuff. And my husband and I are getting older. My husband got injured a few years ago. Can't do what he used to. So you kind of get on this hamster wheel. And when you can't keep going on that hamster wheel, you get thrown off pretty fast.
Right.
So it was like, wait a minute, why are we doing this? We don't need to do this. If he doesn't want to be here either, let's go somewhere else. So we're going closer to my family. My family's all out that direction and stuff. And there's more lakes and stuff. My husband's a fisher and a hunter. So he will get to retire now.
Okay. Except you're still going to run your workroom.
I'm still going to run the workroom because I ship across Canada anyway. So actually, I'll be more central for shipping.
Okay, good. All right. So you're already running a business. You're doing interior design. Had you learned to sew prior to deciding to open the workroom?
Yes. Yeah. I've known how to sew my whole life. My mom used to sew all our clothes. I'm one of four, and she used to dress all us girls in the same stuff, which was rather interesting, but I think it's why when we grew up, we all developed extremely different personalities. But yeah, no, I have known to sew my whole life and stuff. And back in the 90s, I was living in Winnipeg at the time. One of my girlfriends and we started making like tab top drapes and swags and those balloon valances and stuff, because I had a couple designers who wanted a few things. So we just did it. I didn't know at the time that was a workroom. I had no idea that existed. We just did it because it was fun and we knew how. But then I moved.
And that's not unusual for people running a workroom to be running one and not realize that's what it's called. So
it took me many years to figure out that's what it was.
Okay. All right. So this time around, you're making a conscious decision. What were some of the first decisions you made about opening a workroom?
When I decided to do this, I had a contract doing something else. And I was just, like I said, I was burned out. I couldn't do it anymore and stuff. But part of that contract was selling custom drapes. And I knew what the issues were in our area for finding a good workroom and just training other designers and stuff, that I found out how little some people know about it, and that I could actually help that. I could actually explain it to them in a way, like I've got designers now who's like, I would never sell drapery if you weren't here to help me and stuff.
Gotcha.
Like, yay, good. That's my job. I like dealing with you. I don't want to deal with the clients.
Right. But KerryLynn, that's a really interesting perspective, because sometimes people go into it as I know how to sew, I'm making something, but you were selling the product without fabricating it and recognizing that there was this gap between the perfect finished product and the initial decision, and you could fill that gap.
Yeah. I was kind of looking at it and going, well, I could do this. That's my wheelhouse. I love to help people get the desired end result, but it's surprising how few people know the steps to get there, or you're busy doing so many other things that learning those steps to get there is hard for a designer, because been there, done that. You're pulled in so many different directions as a designer that focusing on one thing is hard. Knowing all the ins and outs of one thing is hard and stuff.
Agreed.
So I took it upon myself to be the one to help them do that and stuff. So I have no problem with them shooting me a text going, oh my God, what do I do? Because I'm very straightforward. It's like, here's what you do.
And that's a service that you provide as their subcontractor. You are the one who's going to solve those problems for them.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why, the moving, at first I was like, oh no, I'm probably lose some of my Calgary designers. Nope. They're all like, no problem. As long as you can get us the product, we're still with you. Because they don't come out to the workroom very often. It's not as if, we have to go on site. They've got installers, or I've got an installer who does the measures and stuff. I don't go out and do any of that stuff.
Okay.
It's a different type of relationship.
Okay. Are you exclusively to the trade, KerryLynn?
I try to be.
Okay.
But then you get the couple who are like, I've got friends who live not far away. We want this. And it's like, I'm doing it for them. Yeah. I'll do the occasional retail, but it has to be somebody who, like, I don't advertise at all.
Okay.
It's just somebody who was referred through somebody.
And I'm thinking, as having the interior design background, it probably makes it easier for you in helping people choose fabrics and designs. Whereas somebody like me who's like, no, I really don't want to help you do that. I want you to come to me and make me this. Here's the fabric.
I vet them. Like, if there's somebody who wants me to do it as a retail, I'm extremely straightforward. I tell them what they're doing because I don't have a problem with that. I have found as an interior designer, that's why people come to you. They come to you because they don't know what to do. So I ask questions. I go through my normal spiel with them. And by the time we've had a conversation, I'm like, nope, this is what you're doing.
Okay. And I also think, too, that you said you love to help people get the expected end result, but I don't think a lot of people know exactly what they want that end result to be without some guidance.
Exactly. And the end result it's not the product. It's the feeling that the product gives you and stuff. Agreed. So that's the end result I want to give them, is the feeling of not exactly that, is it perfect even and stuff. It's just that feeling of when they walk into their house, they smile or they feel relaxed, or that's what I base my business on, is the emotional side of it, the psychological side, because I don't think people realize how much color or fabric or things affect them in their homes and stuff. You get so much, I call it, we've been programmed over the last few years to expect that white on white on white is what we all should live in. Well, that's a hospital or an institution. And we all have personalities. Everybody has a personality, not the same personality, which is awesome. That's what makes us different. So I help to lead them to find their personality, to find their comfort zone and stuff. A lot of the designers I work with started out selling, white drapes, and now are selling, pattern and color and stuff. And oh my God, I can't believe this.
I love that. I'm curious because so many of us started our businesses, and when I say us, I'm thinking of people who are like in the maybe 50 and older category, who had a skill, decided it was a great way to make a few extra bucks, and realized we had to run it like a business. You ran a business already. So when you're and I know we're talking about the emotion of the finished product, but you're coming into this from a slightly different perspective than a lot of people who have started their own workroom. Did you start with a business plan?
In my head. I'm horrible for stuff down.
Okay.
In my head, I knew where I wanted it to go and stuff, but I very much figured organically it was going to become whatever it was going to become.
Okay. As you have started a different business, do you do things differently each time? Do you do things the same way? How do you get started?
I started out practicing. I made drapes for our whole house. I was like, hey, I know how to do this, but I really got to like get back into it and stuff. So practiced kind of. YouTube is wonderful. There's some wonderful people out there to follow and watch, and then there's some not so wonderful ones. But that's different levels. Everybody's doing something different. Did a lot of background research. I was actually recovering from surgery at the time, so I had time and stuff. Did a lot of research on it, figured out what worked for me, and when I started getting the orders in, which honestly, when I started, it just took off, which was nice. I know that doesn't happen for everybody, but I just had to tell people what I was doing, and off we went. I, from the beginning, had a helper and stuff. She actually would come in once a week, and we would cut all the fabric for the next week.
Okay.
And stuff. And so I kind of just started doing things in batches, doing this step and then moving on to the next. And it's been tweaked and stuff as we've gone, but it really works. We can get stuff done to the good quality and in a nice, timely fashion.
Got it. So you've changed the businesses that you've run, but you've continued within the same basic industry. You're always helping homeowners or designers in some way, shape, or form, from the flooring to the interior design, now to the fabrication of window treatments. Have you ever considered quitting?
Oh, God, yes. My favorite saying is, I think 7-Eleven's hiring. Off I go. And my boss and I have regular fights.
I've often said I wish I was a better boss. All right. So what stops you from quitting?
I don't think there's something else out there. I'm very eclectic, and I am, I'm a designer. I'm visual and stuff. There's nothing else out there that would keep my interest for long. I've, tried other things over the years and, lasted a week here and 2 weeks there and gone, no, I like my boss better still.
She's doing the best she can. We'll keep her.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, KerryLynn, what have been some of the biggest challenges for you in running any of your businesses, and then specifically the window treatment portion?
Employees. With my husband's flooring business, at one point, we had 15 employees. I felt like herding cats or a kindergarten teacher or something. It was horrible. It was horrible. And my husband is extremely picky. He is European, and everything has to be done perfectly to him. So it just wasn't a fit for us. We did that for a couple of years, and I was like, I'm going to quit, or we're going to stop doing this.
Okay.
And stuff. And now with the workroom, I have employees. So I've got 2 part-time girls. My son came and worked for me full-time for the last 2 months, and it was wonderful. And he is so good at it.
That's awesome.
I know, but I made the mistake of showing him how to upholster as well. And stuff. And he loves upholstery. So then I said to him, hey, call these guys. I don't know if they're hiring or not, but they are an awesome upholstery company, been in business for many, many years, family run. He called them, and he started Monday as an apprentice there. So
you just talked one of your employees into another job.
Yes, I did. So now crying in a corner.
But your son will be happier, and that's ultimately
Exactly. And it's, it's something that if he starts out at his age doing it, and again, upholstery is one of those dying trades and stuff, it needs young blood. So
okay.
it's good for him. Plus, I always have people asking me about upholstery, so I'll now be like, Dan, here you go.
So the people who are working for you part-time now will not be working for you once you move. You'll have to find new people again.
I will have to find new people. I'm hoping it's not a big problem, but I have actually trained my husband on a couple of the machines and processes. So this week he will be in here helping me as well with these 20-foot black outline drapes.
I know my scalp and my spine are tingling while you're telling me that.
Yeah, we were cutting the fabric and I was just going, why am I doing this? It's fine. It'll go good.
And it will be done.
Yeah.
KerryLynn, how do you define success?
By happiness. Are you happy? Then you're successful.
Okay. I like that definition.
Yeah.
Okay. I like simple too. In terms of your business, what's been the greatest success so far?
I think just having the designers who were seriously at the point of not wanting to sell drapery anymore now be big into it and trying to sell drapery to everybody. And stuff. I think that's the biggest success.
Okay.
That I've been able to help them, to have them go, oh my God, if it wasn't for you, I would not be doing this.
Okay. And that would make me happy. That's for sure. The sponsors of the So Much More podcast allow me to bring guests to you each week. And without them, I couldn't do it. I'm pleased as the owner of the Curtains and Soft Furnishings Resource Library that I can use the library to help. The sponsors of the So Much More podcast allow me to bring guests to you each week. And without them, I couldn't do it. I'm pleased as the owner of the Curtains and Soft Furnishings Resource Library that I can use the library to help sponsor the podcast as well. The library hosts the industry's largest curated collection of educational resources for the custom home furnishings professional. Membership to the library gives you access to a wealth of downloadable reference materials, videos, live events, as well as a community of support to help you develop your design, sales, and fabrication skills, and to grow or start a business. Join the library today at csfrl.org. The Workroom channel is the premier online training provider for professional fabrication skills. Go to theworkroomchannel.com to browse the selection of Anytime Access courses created by industry experts. Watch detailed demonstration videos, download companion materials, and participate in private course discussion boards with your instructor and classmates from around the world. Start your course path today at theworkroomchannel.com. Education, networking, visibility, and industry discounts are just a few of the benefits that are offered to members of the Window Covering Association of America. The WCAA is the only national nonprofit trade association that's dedicated to the window coverings industry and the dealers, decorators, workrooms, designers, and installers that make up our membership. The library is a gold level sponsor of the WCAA. Join today at WCAA.org. WCAA, where you are never in business alone. Discover Klimaka Studios, where innovation meets exceptional design. Klimaka fabric and wallpaper collections are inspired by the original works of collaborating artists and developed with the understanding of how fabrics are manipulated into exquisite soft home furnishings. Workroom businesses enjoy exclusive access to engineered designs and best trade pricing. From clever layouts to classic linen prints, Klamaka Studios delivers the quality and consistency that your business demands. And Klamaka's reliable, on-time delivery keeps your projects running smoothly. Go to klamakastudios.com for swatches and trade account information. Klamaka Studios, for the joy and profit of workrooms. KerryLynn, when we make mistakes, things have to be fixed. Do you consider those things a failure, or do you consider them mistakes? And how do you handle when things go wrong?
Well, if I'm cutting $500 a yard fabric, there better not be any mistakes. But anything else is totally fine. It's a learning experience. It's not a failure.
Okay. I like that.
Not to do that.
Yeah, it's interesting. A couple of people that I've interviewed recently have just had a slightly different mindset about it. I know that we talk about a lot of us being perfectionists, but sometimes I think that has a bad connotation to it, and that wanting the most quality finished product or the most perfect finish possible, based on the fact that we're dealing with fabric.
Yeah.
But I do think that the mindset of it is incredibly important. And that some of us have had what could have been absolute disasters, and we've managed to live through them.
Nobody's going to die. It's fabric.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, good to remember.
Yeah.
So I'm always curious, are you a book reader, KerryLynn? Are there any business books or classes that you've taken that have significantly changed how you do things?
I read a lot, but I read for pleasure and stuff.
Okay.
One of the books that kind of, I listened to it probably 5 years ago now, was Big Magic.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody or other. Love that book because it was just, for me, I've always been creative. I've always done things, but then you look around and it's like, is something wrong with me that I don't want to follow the herd? Like if the herd's going north, I'm going south,
Right.
and stuff. And that book just kind of opened my eyes, and I was like, oh, okay, I am who I'm supposed to be, and it's all good.
Yes, I did. It's funny. 2 people have mentioned that book to me recently, and I thought, oh, I think I need to reread it because I read it quite a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I do remember having that same feeling like, oh, okay, I get myself a little better now.
Yeah. Life isn't that serious.
Exactly. Do you use much technology in your business?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I try not to, actually.
Okay.
In fact, I just bought a new computer because my computer was telling me that as of October, it was no longer going to be supported. So I'm like, okay, I'll get a new computer. Yeah, it's been sitting on my desk for a month. I haven't got it. Yeah.
Okay. Just not your thing.
No, it's not.
Okay. Considering the fact that you're packing up and getting ready to move, I'm really curious to ask you this question. What 3 business items could you not live without? AKA, what are the last 3 things you're going to pack before you move?
My tables. Oh my God, I love my tables. When I was researching to start this and found the tables, because I used to do this on a 4-foot dining room table back in the 90s. It was like, oh, what a game changer with the grid and everything. It's like, yep. So table number 1, my Kai scissors. I love my Kai scissors.
Oh, yeah.
And stuff. And probably my walking foot. Those are the 3 that get used the most.
Okay.
And stuff. Other than that, I'm kind of a needle and thread person.
Okay. It fascinates me because I do love technology, and I always like to ask the question. There are many of us who don't embrace it, and we can run our businesses without it if we choose to. but that even for someone who enjoys technology, it's still about the needle and thread. And
Yeah.
whether it's in a machine or in our hands, it's still a pretty basic fabricate. Might also include the pneumatic staple gun, but it's basically about our hands and needle and thread. And that's really, to me, that's just sort of magical that this industry is still surviving and thriving, and we can do it with our hands.
Well, that's the thing. Like I could move. We've talked about it and stuff when we're moving. It's like, okay, if the workroom's not ready, well, as long as I can throw at least one of my tables in the house and I've got a needle and thread and my scissors, I'm good to go. I can still keep going. There's nothing stopping.
And that is a nice feeling. I can remember a couple times, and you're in Canada, so please forgive me, but we would have a winter where we had a couple of bad storms. Nothing compared to what you have, but my kids would be home from school. There'd be a snow day, and I'd be like, "Well, I can keep working because my workroom is here in my house." But even if the power went out, I could still keep, as long as I could get, a flashlight in my workroom, I could keep working. And sometimes I was resentful of that. Like, I'd like a free day off, please.
Yeah, exactly. My needle went down. I can't work today.
Sorry, the needle has a dull point on it. I'll have to take the rest of the day off. You mentioned sewing most of your life. Do you do any sewing for pleasure?
No.
Okay.
No. In fact, the whole time between the 90s and now, I've owned a sewing machine and maybe taken it out twice.
Okay. What is your favorite thing to make?
Actually, it's becoming Roman blinds. I'm really enjoying them.
Okay.
Although next week I have a house full of hobbled Roman blinds to make, and I've never made one. So I'm going to have fun next week.
Yeah. I've only done one of those, and I do have some instructions for you in the library. I'll point you to that to help you with it. Yeah. So I'm curious to hear your answer to this. What do you do extremely well?
Oh, goodness. Change directions, I think, because I do it a lot. And I enjoy changing directions in life or in business and stuff. It actually kind of keeps me on my toes.
Okay. Do you think it's because you get bored easily, and I feel like that's the least positive way to ask that question. but I do think for creative people that sometimes you just have to do something different once in a while.
Yeah. No, I do. It's not that I get bored. Well, I kind of do. I like to have different things to do. So I do the drapery because, yes, the money's there. So that's where my business can go for that. But to keep me interested the rest of the time, I paint. I, went down the herbalism rabbit hole and stuff. So I have a lot of other interests, which then I think they all work together it helps. Oddly enough, it helps me focus.
Okay. This is interesting. I had a conversation with Angie Seacamp at the end of CWC. She had a really beautiful wallet that had a needlepoint with a design and her initials. And we were talking about how much she enjoyed doing. And she has 3 young children as well as running a business. And I said something about having time for it. And she said, you need a hobby. And I agree with her. I don't always take the time for it, but I said something about knitting. And she said, no, you still have to think when you're knitting. This is mindless. The canvases are painted and I just do what's in front of me. And I was like, I do need a hobby because you can focus, but I don't necessarily have to think about what I'm doing while I'm doing it. So I'm investigating new hobbies.
Yeah. That's why I like painting. I paint furniture, and my son calls it me going into designer mode. My brain goes blank, and I will take a piece and I'll be like, oh, I think I'm going to do this. Well, by the time I'm done, it is 180 degrees from where I thought it was going in the first place.
Right.
But that's what, like, it gives me that outlet to just do it. Because with the drapery, there are steps to it. You have to follow those steps, and you're doing it for a client. So it has to end up a certain way.
Yes. Whereas you can be partway through and go, oh, you know what would look really cool here? And you don't have to stop and send a picture and ask a question. You can just go, I'm going to try this. And if it doesn't work, you can undo it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I love that idea. All right. So what do you not do so well?
Sit still.
Hey, hence the hobbies.
I'm in a rocking chair. You can tell
you are moving
still.
That is not a terrible thing, KerryLynn.
Well, sometimes it would be nice, I think.
I always wonder, like, my husband says to me, like, your brain is never still. And that's why I think sometimes the physical movement helps, because if I am physically moving, I have to focus on what I'm doing, and then my mind can quiet for a little bit. So, yeah. What about you would surprise people?
Oh, I don't know. Well, nobody knows me, so probably anything. That I actually started out wanting to be a vet. And at one point, I thought I would make a good accountant.
All right. So I know from our monthly meetings in the library, that is your the paperwork is your least favorite paperwork. What made you think you wanted to be an accountant?
I have no idea. I thought numbers were fun. It lasted a couple months.
Okay. Well, you gave it a try.
Exactly.
Okay.
Everything, because when you find out something isn't for you, well, at least you know, and you can move on to the next thing. And
with the right mindset, that is, you learn something. You learn something you don't like to do or you're not good at. So now it's time to find something else. I like that.
Yeah.
What do you love best about this business?
I like that there's so much room for change in it. You know, people have gotten kind of used to off the shelf stuff. So the custom drapery just allows you to, I don't know, point people in a different direction and stuff. Have them, you know, all of a sudden go, oh, I don't have to do the same thing everybody else is and stuff. Right. And right now, I kind of love that all of the 90s stuff is a little bit coming back. You know, bags, the jabots, the ruffled tops on drapery and stuff. And I'm like super excited to delve into that more.
Yeah. I want to ask another question, then I want to come back to that in particular. What do you love least about this business?
Hand stitching. Although I love it, I hate it. Although I make CBD cream. So then, you know, after a whole day stitching and stuff, just rub a little on and then I'm good the next day to go.
Okay. You have expressed the desire to do more bespoke things. You don't want to do the same thing over and over and over again that's exactly the same. And you just mentioned the ruffles and the swags and jabots. And those are very beautiful and unique and not off the shelf. But it requires a certain customer who wants those things. And so as you're getting ready to move, and you will still be working with some designers, but hopefully acquire some new local to you designers, how do you want to present yourself so that that's who you're attracting to your business?
So I've kind of decided that, you know, there's certain treatments I won't do anymore and stuff. And like I said, I'm quite outspoken about what I like to do and what I don't like to do. And people either like it or they don't, and that's totally fine. And stuff. So I just, with my designers I have now, you know, as we've progressed and stuff, I've pointed some of them in a different direction. So they've started doing more of this. Then, I tell them, oh, well, we could do this too. You can add embellishments to them. You can do these other things. I've got one who she can't see the difference between what you buy at Restoration Hardware and custom drapery. So I just said to her the other day, I said, okay, you go buy a drape at Restoration Hardware and you bring it out here and we'll go over it. We'll spend, half a day. I'll show you how a real one's made and stuff. So it's education. A lot of it is just educating them. And as you put stuff out to the universe will spin what you need back to you and stuff.
Agreed.
So those people find you eventually, and the ones who aren't your clients, they spin out of your circle, and that's totally fine.
Okay. Yeah, I know we had talked about some very specific treatments, and you said, I don't want to do them anymore. And I love that you know what you want to do and what you don't want to do.
And I think part of it too is I'm at a point in my life, my husband is going to retire. I get to kind of do what I want and stuff. And I know what I want to do. And I know that I've had enough experience over the years that I can push the limit on certain things. Like it's not that I have to do things to bring the money in. I do, always need money. That's what makes the world go around as well. But I can push limits a little more. I have a little bit more freedom in that way.
Okay.
And stuff with money.
I also think that, like, as you said, you've been working with some of these designers for a while. And if the third job in a row comes to you and they're, off-white linen drapes, you probably have developed enough of a relationship with them that you could say, seriously? Seriously? What are we doing here?
I absolutely do. They come to me with something like that, and I'm like, could you send me a color?
Add a trim, please. Yeah. But I think that's your value, though. But as you said earlier, the interior designers have to deal with absolutely every aspect of a job. And even if it's a single whole room and everything's being redone, or God forbid a whole house, because that would send me spinning off into, I could no more be an interior designer and handle all of those details. But it's that, number one, they trust you, you will take care of it. But if they're very busy picking a backsplash tile for the kitchen that's next to the family room that you're making the window treatments for, they may have put so much time and energy into all those hard surfaces, and now they're trying to come up with a window treatment that looks nice. You being able to say, hey, shouldn't we pick up the color of the flooring? Shouldn't we be like, those are places where, as small workrooms, we add value. Because I think just like if people wait to the end of a project to think about window treatments, they're out of money. I think that if designers wait till the end of a project to design window treatments, they're out of creativity and energy for that job.
Yeah. They're just ready to move on already and stuff, instead of it's, a big part. And it's the jewelry. It's what gets seen all the time and stuff. Right. So it is important. It's important to the client for their peace or their happiness when they're walking into their house. And it's important to the designer to know that too, because they'll get known as the designer who does the fluff at the end, not just gets to a certain point and goes, you're on your own kind of thing, because they're burnt out and bored with the project. Because I've been there. I've been that.
Hence the window treatment fabrication business. KerryLynn, in what ways do you think you're resilient?
I think that life constantly throws things at you, and it's not so much resiliency as just being able to pivot and change and stuff. I don't mind the pivots.
Yeah, you do have to be able to handle those pivots, don't you? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
On a beach, hopefully.
Which means you're going to be moving again.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm not sure. But after Tennessee and the humidity there, I'm like, I don't know how good I would actually do full time on the beach.
Maybe occasional days on the
Exactly.
beach.
With the business that runs itself, that I've got people working for me that, can keep going while I take off and enjoy life and do what I want to do.
Okay.
Some more.
I love that. KerryLynn, do you have your business on Facebook or Instagram that I can direct people to?
Nope. And again, because technology and me don't get along. And I had, with my furniture painting and stuff, I had that on Facebook, and you get so many tire kickers that I was like, I'm to the trade. I'm here to help the designers out. I'm not here to really promote myself at all. Like, I don't do any promotion. It's word of mouth, and the right people find me when they need to.
Okay. And you're busy enough without doing that?
I'm busy, and I'm not that good at taking pictures or, spending the time to think about what to post and stuff. It distracts me from what I'm doing, and I'd rather just do my thing.
Okay. I like that. What advice would you give to someone new coming into this business, or someone who's been around for a while, or both?
Well, for someone new, play with it, have fun with it. Look at all the different things. Honestly, you can go to any used bookstore and pick up, the 80s and 90s books on how to sew window treatments and stuff. Have fun with it. Just go into it with an open mindset and stuff, and you'll get where you're supposed to be.
Okay.
Because there isn't one path to follow for anybody. So
that is very true.
I think the more you play with it, the more you find your own path, or you find the absolutely not doing that again.
And that's very valuable too.
Yeah. I think the same thing for people who've been in the business for a long time. Sometimes you get in a rut, you're just going and going and going. And sometimes you just have to stop yourself and play with it for a while.
I agree. It's one of the reasons I ask about sewing for yourself, because it's something that I am trying to do more of. But I don't assume that that's what everybody else wants to do. So I love that you have other things that you do that bring you joy and bring you happiness and all of that. But I do think that I've struggled with doing mock-ups and things like that, because I want things to have a purpose. And if I take the time to mock up a swag, where's it going? Well, if it was just a piece of scrap fabric, it's going nowhere. But I've gotten over that because I've learned so many things that avoided a mistake, especially a costly one. And I've learned that there can be joy in the play and in the trying of things, where before it was, and I'm sure it has a lot, for me in particular, it has a lot to do with I'm doing fewer window treatments for designers now. So if I have a few minutes, I have time to play, and I'm not trying to get a product out the door and get paid for it. So that's a different emphasis. But yes, playing around with something and then going, oh, that didn't work, and then just tossing it in the bin is a whole different experience. But you're right. And taking some time to learn either a new technique or just play around with some fabric in your workroom can be very refreshing and bring you back to why we do this in the first place.
Yeah. Well, we all have so much fabric scrap.
We do indeed. But never quite enough for that one project, and we want to make it out.
Patchwork. Well, look at this, the new trend of patchwork.
Agreed. KerryLynn, this has been absolutely delightful for me to get to know you better. So I really appreciate that you said yes. Thank you so much for talking with me today. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. This was fun.
Good. I'm glad. It's always so fun for me to get better connected to someone that I've met either through Zoom meetings or in person, and I've gotten to do both with KerryLynn. But spending time recording the podcast gives me a completely different perspective on people. And I just love how creative she is, how willing to pivot she is, how she has such an interesting perspective coming from the angle that she did. She had already started a business. She was an interior designer and then decided that it would be great if she were the one fabricating it, and what value she could add to her designers because of it. And as I mentioned before, her directness, but I also love that when she's working with people, she tells them what she's going to be doing for them. And so many of our clients need that directness and that help getting things done. She's asking the questions she needs to ask, and she's helping them get the end result that they want. And I think that's great. I hope that you enjoyed hearing from KerryLynn today. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great day.